letting you guys know straight up. That's all.
We're live, so
well, there you go.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Welcome everyone to the MMA Vivisection with me, Zane Simon, my co-host Eddie Mercado, and Victor Rodriguez, and we are here to talk about Bellator 193, Larkin versus Gonzalez, a fight that outside of Lorenz Larkin is really just Bellator guys fighting.
Yeah, like the non-top guys fighting. So
yeah,
any guys who just need work.
Yeah, this is the knock-around guys edition. Yeah, it's the Strikeforce challengers of Bellators.
Yeah, a few people you've seen before, some people you barely remember maybe having seen before, maybe on some card, and yeah, it's got a Bellator brand up on the top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they picked a week to run that kind of card, so's the UFC. Fuck this fucking UFC on Fox 27.
I forgot there was a UFC event this week. Fuck, yeah. I gotta make picks. I gotta do this.
Vic's having a nervous breakdown live on the air.
Yeah.
No, I'm just it's amazing. Like, I'd never forget that there was an event in the last, I don't know, 9 years. And suddenly this fucking happens. That's great. That's okay. Great.
No, it's UFC methadone, and this is like, you know,
this is placebo. Wow. This is full on placebo. This is like you hit up your boy who knows someone, and then you finally get it, and it's like, what?
This is you smoking oregano and claiming you got high.
Yeah.
That's this card.
You're drinking O'Doul's, claiming to have a buzz.
Oh, God.
So on the undercard, there are a couple of things to note before we dive into the main card. Justin Lawrence fighting on the undercard.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Andrew Natividad.
Why is he buried on the undercard?
7-10. So Bellator is looking. Bellator is doing the thing that Bellator does, which is they've said, Justin Lawrence, you're supposed to be a star. You're not doing that well. Here, go style on this dude, and then we can build that highlight reel a little and throw you back in against somebody serious who will once again beat you, and then we'll have to give you somebody else to style on.
Go make some fans, John Jones.
Yeah, because his last fight, Lawrence was in the post limb. He was in a dark bout, so like his shit probably you can't even find online. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, shit, you're right. I forgot.
That might even happen again.
Oh wow.
Because you never know with Bellator. You never know what's ending up totally off camera. Like and they, people who have been there live who are, watched it even said like they turn the cameras off for those bouts. Like you're in a Bellator dark bout, it is literally not being recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird how a guy who had his first pro fight was in Strikeforce, and from there on in it was the UFC, then back to the regionals, and now he's in Bellator. But it's a very strange thing how a 10-4 Justin Lawrence is taking on 7-10 Natividad. Yeah, I don't know. There's not really much good that you can say about that. Although, I mean, it doesn't look like that was a canceled fight replacement type deal.
No, I think it's what Zane said. It's just, hey, Lawrence wasn't doing that well. Let's get him some freebies, but let's do it off camera so people don't ask questions like we're doing.
Yep.
I guess. Either that or do what they did with Bubba Jenkins and not show his opponent's record come fight night.
They've also signed some dude named Everett Cummings who's 13-0, which looks cool until you realize that he's entirely a Gladiator Challenge can crusher.
Yeah. At heavyweight, no less.
Is that, at heavyweight. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, that's going to be sexy as fuck. I can't wait.
And then the feature prelim, the one really worth paying attention to, Tyrell Fortune is fighting again against Joe Hernandez, who, by the looks of his Tapology picture, looks like he's absolutely there to just get absolutely whomped on.
Or work on Tyrell Fortune's vehicle.
This is true. Yeah, he looks like he's just got ripped. He says, well, fine, hey, listen, listen, I got to get this muffler fixed one way or another. I mean, and look, I feel kind of bad about this one too, because Fortune is one of those guys. Like, everyone talks about Aaron Pico and AJ McKee. Like, obviously they're like the flashier, bigger names, I guess. But I keep insisting that it's Joey Davis, Ed Ruth, and Tyrell Fortune that people need to keep an eye on as those guys that Bellator plucked early and has been bringing along at a good steady pace. And I mean, I have no reason to believe that Fortune won't style on Hernandez. Yeah, it's inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those, this is a dude who got knocked out in 2 minutes by Josh Applet. And then
Josh Appelt.
Appelt, yeah. And
he fights extra sloppy. So you must have been a terrible dogfight for that to happen. But the other thing is that in this situation, like, I have no problem with a guy who's 3-0 fighting a guy who's 4-2.
Oh yeah,
There's only so many guys you can fight that you could say that you can put a Tyrell Fortune in front of and be like, this is going to be a fair fight because of the wealth of experience and athleticism that this guy brings, albeit in another arena, not mixed martial arts, but of course wrestling being such a great foundation for it. It's like, that's just what it is.
It's heavyweight too. So if you're going to match up a young heavyweight like he's moving up the regionals, he's basically only going to be crushing cans, because regional heavyweight is it is the t-shirt in the pool division.
Yeah, it's when you hear like those old kung fu movies, there's like a villain with a long ponytail who plays the flute, like, and that's how you know there's gonna be some real heinous shit. Like, that's heavyweight on the regional scene. It's just like no good will ever come of this. And look, again, how many people want to go in there and face motherfucking Tyrell Fortune?
Yep. Well, I will say this. We're gassing him up beyond all belief, but I was cage side for his professional debut at Bellator 163, and he did get dropped in that first round.
He did.
He got dropped early in that fight. So, I mean, this is heavyweight. So, I mean, we saw what happened to Pico. That could easily happen here. Will it? Probably not. The likelihood is very, very low, but,
But there's a reason that they're taking it slow.
He's green, so we should still, view him as such.
Yeah. All right. And, if he gets his tires rotated by the time the fight's over, then that's good too.
Yeah,
maybe that's what's on the line. Yeah, if you lose, you got to do this.
All right. First bout on the main card: Steve Cazzola, Jake Smith, and Eddie. What do you know about this fight?
I know Cazzola is somewhat of a prospect, I guess we can call him. 8-1 overall, 3-1 in Bellator. And, he came in undefeated to the organization. I think he had 2 knockouts and then had like a fight over in the World Series of Fighting for whatever reason. Picked up a knockout there, came back to Bellator, picked up another knockout, and then went up against Carrington Banks. And, that proved to be a little too much for him. But now he's back and getting someone with less of a specialty, and Jake Smith, who seems to be just kind of like some guy. Like he's doesn't have any like name wins or name losses on his record. Like he's capable of losing to whoever, whenever. So, I think this is a bounce back fight for Cazzola, and I expect him to do rather well.
Vic?
Yeah, well, I am gonna actually abstain from this one because I didn't really see much out of Jake Smith other than the fact that he's been on the King of the Cage circuit. Although I do remember Cazzola fighting before, not just in Bellator, but that fight in World Series. I'm gonna pour out a 40-ounce for World Series because they are no more. If you're gonna have it
no more, but their brainchild, their little the stepchild, I guess I should say, PFC is also
PFL.
PFL. Probably on the fast track to being no more as well.
You mean their deformed clone? Yeah, no, I don't count that as being the same, and I think we all know what I mean.
Well, it's already dead. Like,
yeah,
the dead fetus. It's the dead fetus.
Oh thing. Jesus, dead fetuses, man! No other MMA analysis show will bring you dead fetuses and discussions and arguments about burgers. Let's not.
Hey, Elvis was a twin. Come on.
Okay.
He's right though. I hate him because he's right. That's true.
Why does everyone always say that to me?
So anyway, you're abstaining. You're picking Cazzola. The odds makers are picking Cazzola as well. He is the favorite. Opened at -200, has gone down to -213 since the odds opened. And Jake Smith opened at +170, is currently at +172. That brings us to a middleweight fight. Kendall Grove versus AJ Matthews. And Vic.
Oh God. You know, here's the problem, man. I want to think AJ Matthews, like for all of his misgivings, like that 8-7 professional record that he has is a bit deceptive. I mean, he's a hard hitter. He's a pretty decent athlete. He's got some really good qualities and skills as a fighter that he brings, and it's evident in his wins. But the problem is his mental space, his fight IQ, some of the things that he's willing to give up in a fight are what's caught up to him and led to the losses that he's had on his record. And Kendall Grove, I mean, what does 2018 Kendall Grove even look like at this point? We're looking at a guy he's coming off 2 consecutive losses, one to John Salter, which is not really that bad, especially in considering what Salter has been looking like in the last maybe 2 years. Just having a vicious submission game, and Shlemenko knocking him out back in 2016. I don't know. He went on a pretty decent run there with 2 wins put together against Beltran and Francisco France, but God, like smart money is going to have to be on Grove because of his experience and his reach and, his reflexes. But, Matthews, he might just use his wrestling to immediately bull rush the guy and make this bowling shoe ugly. And then we're just going to end up with a slog that can go up in either direction. So, Jesus, I'm just gonna go with Grove because he's craftier with his submission game, and maybe he might tire Matthews out.
Vic, I don't want to I don't want to countermand you here, but there's no smart money in this fight.
Nah, that's also true. That's the only advice I can give you for gambling is don't bet on this. That's the best and only advice I can give you when it comes to gambling at all.
Eddie, you're the degenerate here.
I am, and this fight's depressing. It is, Kendall Groves had 40 fights. He's got 40 fucking fights, which is crazy. Like he's still fighting, and so he comes into Bellator and goes 2-2, and then he fools me. He makes me think that he's changed and he's grown and he's different, and he can actually use his distance and fight tall, and he can knock people out by doing that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then the bastard goes and fights Alexander Shlemenko and does exactly what I thought he was going to do, which is screw the pooch. And then in his next bout, he fights John Salter, who is great. And there's really no shame in losing to John Salter, actually, because he's damn good. But the deal is Kendall Grove is not elite. He will never be elite. He will never fulfill any kind of potential that anyone had ever suspected he might have. He's not going to have a career resurgence. There's no renaissance, no rebirth. It is what it is. Will he get past AJ Matthews? Yeah, probably. AJ Matthews has lost 4 straight, and I think 3 of those were by knockout. I'm not
2 by knockout.
2 by knockout, 2 decisions. But still, if you look at who those people are, I mean,
I would actually pick almost all of them to beat Kendall Grove, to be fair.
That's awesome. I just love how Eddie Mercado is sitting there personally insulted that Kendall Grove is not met his standards of quality and improvement in the sport. What the fuck is that?
Well, no, he had me fooled, like I said. Like I was gullible. I was like, oh, he's changed.
Like sign an agreement with the guy? What the fuck? Yeah, he said he was selling me a Honda. This is not a Honda. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's like the guy on Canal Street trying to tell me they were Ray-Bans. I knew they weren't Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
See that? Yeah. But I have to go with Grove. And no, you're right. All those people that beat AJ Matthews are actually pretty damn good. And would probably beat Kendall Grove for sure. So this is like, land of misfit toys here. This is who's the lesser of 2 evils. I think the real answer is I don't care. And you shouldn't either. So I'm going to leave it at that.
The same thing. I mean, same thing for Kendall Grove. Everybody who beat Kendall Grove would beat AJ Matthews too.
Yeah. Wow.
I would rather see them play chess.
like the equation that was on the chalkboard in Good Will Hunting. That's like imagine that, but it's MMA math, and it's this fight. Like you can't solve this if you're using pure math. Like, well, he beat this guy, and this guy beat. Oh fuck! Oh no! No, it wouldn't work.
No, this is like one of those where there's like no real answer.
Yeah,
it's like there is no answer here. It's not all real numbers. There is no solution.
This is some quantum stuff that can't be figured out.
Kendall Grove generally wins fights that AJ Matthews probably wouldn't. That's about as far as you can go, I think.
And Kendall has more skills to pull from, at least on the ground.
Yeah. Matthews is the underdog, running at +1, opened at +140, went up and down a little, currently at +140. Kendall Grove opened at -180 and is currently at -171.
Nobody should care about that. Nobody. Yeah. Ignore this, please.
That brings us to our co-main event, Sadawad versus some dude, JJ Ambrose.
Some dude? What do you mean, some dude? You don't like JJ Ambrose here? Are you kidding me?
If you didn't commit him to memory, I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably no. I don't think he does like him.
Well, here's the only reason I know who he is.
Oh, Christ.
So, recently, Fraser Coffeen and I did a 6-round retro for Affliction Band, the first Affliction show.
Hey.
And this mofo is on there. Like,
yeah.
2008.
Like, what are you doing? And that blew my mind. And he got absolutely, I mean, it was a Mike Pyle clinic. You know, back when they were still calling Mike Pyle a veteran back in 2008. But yeah, other than that, he did have a couple Bellator fights and then kind of went on this global circuit and fought a whole bunch in just some off-the-wall places. And now he's back in Bellator. And for that, I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to go with Sadawad, who's actually on a little bit of a tear.
I like the whole, like, he's some dude, and then I wouldn't pick him.
No way. I mean, he's not trustworthy. Like,
no,
he has to prove himself.
Ben Wall is probably the best win of his career, and that's Ben Wall.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the thing with Ambrose is I remember for a while he was living in Thailand, and I think he's living in Guam now. That's right. Like all those fights that he's having in the Southeast Asian circuit, like, you know, it really doesn't register well with us because that's not something that, like, you know, the talent pool is a little weird, and, you know, it's just there's not many big names for us to say like, oh, well, he's been fighting consistently against, you know, proven talent, and that's kind of a problem because Sadawad, you know, even though he's hit some rough patches and stuff, it's not like he's been only beating scrubs. Like, no, he's been, you know, or at least facing
well, no, he beats the scrubs, opposition. But he loses to the quality opposition. Yeah,
well, he does, but I mean, like, it's a lot easier for me to see him being more competitive against, say, for example, the Derek Andersons of the world, or, you know, or Pitbull Patricky. Like, you know, it's a clear loss in either of those cases. Both fights went to decision, but it's not exactly a total drubbing, you know. So I mean, I can see that. So here's the thing: like, both of them have records that look fairly similar. Even still, Sadawad, he's got a better training environment. He's a little more he's actually more well-rounded. But then again, some of the decisions that he makes from one moment to the next seem a little weird. But I still don't trust Ambrose's overall game enough, although I do think he's a better overall athlete. I just think Wad's cardio and his ability to push through are going to get him through this.
All right.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, the thing with Awad is he just really doesn't lose to Bobos. Like, if you look at the people that are beating him, they are, you know, Brennan Ward, Derek Anderson, Pitbull, and Will Brooks, David Rickles. Like, these are legitimate names that everyone's familiar with. These are Bellator veterans here. JJ Ambrose, like, yeah, okay, I guess he's technically a Bellator veteran, you know, but that was 4 years ago. And, like, there's no legit reason why I feel like his whatever experience he has amassed overseas is anything comparable to what Sadawad has been facing in the same amount of time. So
he lost to Frank Trevino. That should really be enough.
Yeah, he was like, he's the guy that didn't Sage Northcutt beast on him in his debut, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was him.
He was brought in to get crushed by Sage Northcutt.
Yeah, that was and that's sad. That just shows where.
Well, I think Frank was already on a skid, and I mean that was when.
He lost one fight to Johnny Case where he blinded Johnny Case in the first round, and Johnny Case still whooped his ass with one eye.
Well,
yeah. Well, let's not talk about Trevino anymore. It's going to
it's not. No.
But I'm going to pick a wad here. I think he will probably pick up the. I'm going to go with the decision. Sadawad doesn't. His finishing rate is kind of, it isn't exactly the highest. So I'll take him by decision here.
All right. Odds here. Awad opened at -230, went up to -213, and down to -224 now. And Ambrose opened at +170, got up as high as +182, is now +177.
I wonder if this is going to be like one of those Calvin Cater situations where you have like this old head that's been around that was on this old school card and like has just been perfecting his craft on the low and is going to show up and actually do something.
Kind of doubt it, but
I doubt it too. But let me live, Zane. Let me live.
Yeah, that's right. Live the dream. That brings us to our main event: Lorenz Larkin versus Fernando Gonzalez. And Eddie, I gotta ask: does Lorenz Larkin lose to Fernando Gonzalez?
He better fucking not. He better fucking not. This is as must win as it gets for Larkin. And he's only lost 2 fights. Like, whatever. This is a must win. Like, you cannot go from being a contender in the UFC, top 10 welterweight, to people are doubting whether or not you can beat Fernando Gonzalez. And granted, Gonzalez 8-1 in the promotion. Like, that is damn good. And his only loss was a split decision to Michael Venom Page. So, I mean, Gonzalez is a sleeper. However, I think Gonzalez will lose to anyone who's a better, or not better, but more dynamic striker. And what I'm pulling from is his kickboxing bout with Paul Daly.
Oh man, yeah.
So
yeah.
I feel like Gonzalez is good enough to compete on the feet. He has mean guillotines, like we saw. He choked out Brennan Ward. He's definitely dangerous there late with the guillotines. However, I don't believe he will be able to shut down the kicking game of Larkin. And I think because of that, Larkin is I think he's gonna do rather well in this fight. I don't think he'll steamroll Gonzalez, but I think he will pick up a very convincing decision. I hope so anyway. So I'm gonna take Larkin by decision, but man, he better put up a win, or he can't help but make the UFC look good for not re-signing him.
Vic, what do you think? You gonna take Larkin?
Yeah, here's the thing with that. I mean, Larkin has to be very, very consistent. Like, he has to put on a performance that's at least 80% of what he showed in that fight against Neil Magny. All right, he's got to be able to negate the distance and then use his own striking on the inside, punish Gonzalez with low kicks, and make sure that he's able to exit off angles. Watch out for those counters because Gonzalez can hit super, super hard. I mean, I keep having flashbacks to like that Costa Philippou fight. How Larkin got caught in that one and how ugly it was. And I kind of wondered, well, Gonzalez could do something similar with a few punches, but I don't know, man. It seems to me like Larkin's been fighting smarter in a lot of these fights. Even that fight that he had against Lima maybe wasn't the most exciting, fan-pleasing bout, but it was very technical, and there were some pretty decent moments of offense from him. And it was actually pretty close, aside from the knockdown that he had when Lima dropped him. But then again, that's Lima. Like, that's a good loss, I guess you could call it on paper. Gonzalez is just one of those guys, though, that I just see him as he's almost unfinishable. And I don't know exactly that Lorenz can actually get a finish if that's what he's aiming for, unless it's one of those leg kick TKOs. So I'm going to go with Larkin. I do have less trepidation about this one than I had maybe when it was first announced, where I was like, ooh, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to have as many brain farts this time around as he's had in some of his previous fights. So, I guess that's where I'm going.
This is kind of an intelligence test for Larkin. I mean, honestly, Gonzalez is like, he's such a one-speed volume, like, I'm just going to be here when you get tired, and I'm still going to be throwing, and I'm still going to be moving forward, and I'm going to hit just hard enough to sting you and throw you off your game and make you make mistakes kind of thing. But he's not a good athlete. He's not, like, a great technician anywhere. And it's kind of for Larkin, and he's not really like any kind of wrestling or pure grappling threat. So for Larkin, it's really just like, can you fight a good kickboxing fight for 15 minutes? If you can, you're going to win this.
The weirdest thing for me about this is the fact that it's a catch weight of 180 pounds. Not only that, but the past 3 fights for Gonzalez have all been catch weights.
Yeah, so I think that's just Gonzalez being kind of weirdly, like, not in shape.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with being in shape. I think his shape is just round, and that I don't know. I don't understand this. Like, how is he getting how? Like, we have weight classes for a reason, right?
You know, I think I made this joke on a previous Gonzalez fight, but do we have any betting odds, any over/under of whether or not he passes the piss test on this one?
Has he ever missed a drug test
for weed?
Don't they? I don't know. What state is this being? Isn't this card in
California?
Oh, it's California. It's at the Pachanga. Yeah, he'll probably find a way still.
Has he failed a piss test before?
Oh yes. Oh yes. For the weed. For smoking the weed. Yes, indeed.
Dancing in the goofy boots.
Hey man, listen, that devil's lettuce.
Just say no, kids.
All right. Odds. Larkin is the heavy favorite. He opened at -270, adjusted down to -290, currently out to -316. Fernando Gonzalez opened at +190, adjusted up to +240, and is currently at 248.
I think we're learning that Larkin just might not be trustworthy. And I think we're also learning that, Gonzalez is actually pretty damn good, so betting against him hasn't proven to be wise over the course of his Bellator career.
That's kind of the whole theme of this entire card. I mean, Saad Awad and JJ Ambrose and Go versus Matthews. It's like, who do you trust the least? You know, this is like a card comprised at least those 3 fights of like super unreliable fighters on both ends. Like you can't really. There's no.
Okay, I got it for you. You're familiar with Eugene S. Robinson? How he has his GICs, his guys I can't trust. This is Invicta.
Oh.
Find me on
I like it.
On Twitter at the Eddie Mercado. You can find Vic on Twitter at Vic M. Rodriguez. You can find all 3 of us over at bloodyelbow.com. Give us a like over here on YouTube. Thumbs up down there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, MMANation.com, DOTCOM. That's where we get all the latest Bloody Elbow shows, videos, news, analysis, all that good stuff we do week in, week out. We will be back next week for UFC Belém. Eric Anders versus Lyoto Machida.
Oh, what a dog of a card.
Hey, it's better than the Fox card this week. That's all that matters.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
No, it's way better. I mean,
wait till we get to that London card. Oh, boy.
I think the real question is, why is this Bellator card how come this didn't go up against the UFC last week? You know what I mean? This was the week to have their big tentpole event.
It's true. This is the week to do a UFC. Last week was the week to do a Bellator card that nobody gives a shit about, even Bellator. God. And Bellator, for them, we will be back on February 16th for Bellator 194. Matt Mitrione versus Roy Nelson and Patricky Freire versus Derek Campos. So hopefully everybody stays injury-free, no guarantees. Till then, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.